Now the government have a big new idea. Yes, all these young men that cross the Channel will now be put in military barracks because it'll be cheaper than hotels. Here was the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, on this subject.
We had years under the previous government where they didn't process claims. So tens of thousands of people didn't have their claims processed. They were then housed in hotels. That was the policy of the last government. There were 400 at the height of it. It's now about 200. I'm determined that we will close those hotels. We're processing the claims much more quickly, and where people have got no right to be in our country, we're removing them at a higher rate than best part of a decade. So we're taking the action, but I can't tell you how frustrated and angry I am that we've been left with a mess as big as this by the last government.
Yes, he was left a mess, that there is absolutely no doubt. But since he came to power, nearly 60,000 people have crossed the English Channel. In fact, the numbers for this year are headed towards a record ever number, especially if we get 2 or 3 calm weeks between now and Christmas. And when he tells you, oh, we've reduced the number of hotels, it's way down from the peak, there are 8% more human beings in those migrant hotels than there were when he won the general election on the 4th of July last year. I'm sorry, it's difficult to believe a single word our Prime Minister says, and I really believe that. As for returns, most of those that are being sent home are overstayers on visas. When it comes to those that are across the Channel, the numbers you almost count on the fingers of one hand. And when they claim this is a big step forward, and there's one site in East Sussex, one site up in Inverness, they're military sites, they'll house 900 people. Think about this. That's just one day's crossing on a calm day in the English Channel.
Have you had a random call lately from a strange number, maybe trying to sell you something or even scam you? If so, your info could be out there. That's because of data brokers, shady companies that scrape the internet for your personal details and sell them to marketers or even scammers. These days, scammers can even use AI to mimic your friends' voices and trick you into sending money. It's not just annoying. Data brokers often target vulnerable people with high-interest loans or sketchy offers. But there is a solution. Incogni, the sponsor of this video. Incogni contacts data brokers on your behalf and requests your info be deleted from their databases. And because your data can keep popping up, Incogni keeps sending removal requests to make sure it stays gone. They've just launched a new unlimited plan with custom removals. If you find your info on a weird website, just send them the link and their privacy team will work to get it taken down. Getting started is easy. Hit the link in the description, create your account and let Incogni handle the rest. It's risk-free for 30 days and you'll get 60% off an annual plan with the code GBNews. Take back control of your data with Incogni.
Ranald, this issue, we've discussed it before on this programme, but he keeps doing this. He literally can't tell the truth on this.
Well, he thinks that the British people don't understand this issue. So he thinks by saying that we're going to move people to army barracks, that the British people will be duped into thinking that that's the problem.
They won't, will they?
They will not. They know that this is a problem affecting the whole country. They know that it's costing taxpayers millions upon millions of pounds.
Billions.
Every day. Yeah. And so the truth is that until he actually does stop the boats, until he actually does, in my view, do something on the European Convention on Human Rights, and that will allow us to deport people and certainly to process people offshore, this is not going away. Just one aside. Dame Andrea Jenkins, my old friend, your friend, she has talked about not wanting to use the airfields in Lincolnshire. She's right, I think, about using tents and using that sort of temporary accommodation, but I don't think she's right about saying that nowhere in Lincolnshire should be used, because there's a lot of redundant airfields there. That's the right idea.
Here's the difference. The migrants that will be put in those hotels will be free to roam the streets. Under Andrea's plan, they wouldn't be free to roam the streets.
Well, this is why I think using the temporary accommodation is the right way forward.
If it's secure.
Yes.
This was all in response, Joe, to the report yesterday saying we've wasted billions.
Yes.
We've overpaid billions. And for once not even going to name the three big companies that have made all the money,
Well,
because GB News can't afford the legal fees.
No, but I mean, we know who they are,
We know who
because,
they are.
most of them are already involved in quite a lot of outsourced work.
And not just migrant, all sorts of things for
absolutely.
government.
Everything from school meals to prisons to, all sorts of bits and pieces. And in fact, processing applications for young people to join the armed services, one of them is.
Unbelievable.
And that report, just to refresh people's memory, showed an absolute catalogue of chaos, a lack of oversight, a lack of curiosity, that goes back to 2019. So sorry, Ronald.
No.
But,
I think Ronald accepts it.
I've accepted there are problems.
Yeah,
I think I've said that. I've been at pains to say that. I've been at pains to say that.
So it goes back to 2019. There's £46 billion that should have been paid back to the taxpayer, that's been sitting around somewhere because nobody bothered to chase it up. And the catalogue of failure over managing the hotels has been a disaster.
But whether it's hotels or HMOs or whether it's military sites, the fact is, and we see it now, we saw it again today on the news, a stabbing in West London, a triple stabbing in West London. We are now seeing, Joe, every single day in our news, heinous crimes committed by young men coming into Britain via boats.
Well,
and the public have had enough.
We don't know anything about the person who stabbed.
Every day we see...
Well,
look...
But that particular case...
fair enough. Fair enough. For legal reasons, fair enough. But you know what I'm saying.
Yes, I know.
On the very same day that Kabasi was mistakenly released from Chelmsford prison, we had the conviction of a man who killed that woman with 23 stabs with a screwdriver. This is a massive problem.
Well, it is a massive problem, and it's a problem that's been building for years and years and years. And it's a horrible, conglomeration, if you like, of lack of funding and investment in the prison service, which has left the prison and probation service. I mean, Chris Philp or Jenrick, I can't remember which one, they're interchangeable, said, sorry, Chris. But, he said, they can't, the probation service can't cope. Well, who hollowed out the probation service? Hang on a minute, Ronald. And you know as well as I do, you both do, that the asylum backlog was allowed to just climb and climb and climb and climb and climb under the previous government. So it became unmanageable. It's like clearing out, a house.
But the problem is, if
order.
you reject people's asylum claims that you can't deport them, the problem's even bigger.
Yeah, and going back to the original question, which is about military barracks, I mean, of course that makes sense. Not probably the one in Inverness, which is right in the middle of the city centre. And I'm sure that local people, and I know...
The local Liberal Democrat MP was struggling a bit with that.
Well, I mean, in theory, it's a great idea, but they've got to be in the right place.
Do you know what?
And the trouble is, you're going to have people saying, it's a great idea, but not here. Well, you've got to put them somewhere.
I know. Well, the local Liberal Democrat MP who signed various motions saying, "Oh, come all ye faithful," suddenly feels very differently about it in his backyard. Ranul, I think this issue, more than any other, contributed to Rishi's downfall.
Well, I think Rishi was on the right track saying we need to stop the boats. The trouble was that
if you say that and don't deliver...
Well, this is my point.
And Starmer has said smash the gangs, it's not happening.
Indeed. And, and on Joe's point, the truth was that we did have a plan. We didn't execute it in time. We didn't execute it swiftly enough, offshore processing, because as Nigel rightly said, if you're going to reject claims, you need to make sure you're actually able to deport or process people offshore and they're not here in the first place. In terms, though, of the trouble in society, trust in society is breaking down. And that is the consequence.
And that's the great danger.
Well,
we saw in Ireland last week, I didn't cover this last week on the show, but the scale of the riots... after an alleged serious sexual assault against a 10-year-old girl in Ireland last week were of a level that were genuine riots.
And it's terrible for law-abiding people of whatever race or background that they might be.
Trust is breaking down.
Trust is breaking down, but it's part of the problem is what we were discussing before the break. We can't trust the police. The most vulnerable people in our society can't trust social workers.
I think on this issue,
it's
politicians they're not trusting.
Well, and that's...
Anyway,